A list of the top 10 most popular British writers just wouldn't be complete without William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is one of the most famous British authors to ever live, and his works deserve all the attention that they get. Shakespeare was an actor and playwright in London in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. His plays have been performed for nearly 500 years and continue to be read and studied today. He was such a prolific writer that over 1,500 words and phrases that he himself coined are still in use in the English language today. Jane Austen. Jane Austen was a British writer who lived and worked in England in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. At the time, women just didn't become writers. They weren't expected to work at all, and thus Austen published all of her works anonymously. Most of her novels are focused on the lives of upper and middle class women and their families. The focus on marriage is the only option for women at the time, and are filled with romance and humor. Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens is another world-famous British writer, author of classics such as Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol. Dickens is a household name of all over the world. He lived and worked in Victorian England in the 19th century. Most of his books told a story as well as served as a criticism of social conditions in Europe at the time. Unlike many writers, Dickens enjoyed fame and fortune during his lifetime. Daniel Defoe. Daniel Defoe lived and worked in the 17th and 18th centuries in England. He is most famous for his novel Robinson Crusoe, the tale of a man stranded on a desert island. The tale has been rewritten and transformed into television shows and movies and is a true classic. Defoe is also considered to be one of the first writers to pen a novel and thus made his style of book popular among the British. In addition to Robinson Crusoe, Defoe wrote over 500 pieces over his lifetime. George Eliot. George Eliot, otherwise known as Mary Ann Evans, is another female author who was forced to hide behind a male pseudonym. In the 19th century, women writers were expected to only write romance novels, but Evans wanted to be taken seriously, which is why she chose the name George Eliot as her pen name. Her plan worked as thanks to the success of her most famous work, Middlemarch. She gained respect for her insight and intelligence. The novel was recently voted the greatest British novel of all time by the BBC. Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf was a leading modernist writer in the 20th century. She is most well known for her use of stream of consciousness in her works. She is often referenced in feminist studies as well, thanks to her involvement in early feminist movements in the 1920s. Her essay, A Room of One's Own, includes the famous line, "A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction." Such a line might not seem that important now, but trust me, in the early 20th century it was groundbreaking.